Hello and welcome to the Chatterbox Letters podcast. I have a live show that I would like to present to everyone watching. I have questions I ask myself according to the Verbal Letters podcast. My first question is this: do you think the Verbal Letter series will be better than writing a letter and sending it to my podcast? My answer to this is yes. My verbal letter series would be much, much better than writing a letter. I believe some of the people would not jump to the fact of writing a letter to my podcast because it's too much work and it's time consuming. Number two, what do I think of the topics for my first season episode of the Chatterbox Letters podcast? Here's my answer to this. Since I'm the author of those topics, I think my topics are pretty much straightforward questions to the viewer. I don't sugarcoat anything on my podcast. I think my topics are great beyond anything I imagined, and this is my perspective. Number three, will my first season premiere of the Chatterbox Letter podcast start? Okay, my answer to this: it's whenever I get those who are interested in being a part of my podcast, I will get the names of people who are determined and interested to print their name on my ledger, their emails, and the number of episodes they want to be a part of. As of the Chatterbox Letters podcast, I will start, but it's no specific date to when I start my first season premiere. Okay, number four. As of the date of the Chatterbox Letters podcast, would it affect the status to when it will start for the first season premiere on time? My answer to this is no. I don't think it would affect my status as a podcaster to start a video on time. The time will be my time, since it's my video in which I decide when to make it public, so much as to go into my video to make a difference. It takes a lot to do a video and to make a difference for it. Okay, number five. Do I think that people in general will be, or would they like to be a part of my podcast season episodes? My answer to this is sure. There is many people out there who will enjoy volunteering their time to be a part of my podcast and make a difference for me and themselves. All right, number six. How many topics will be part of the season one of the Chatterbox Letters podcast? All right, my answer to that is there will be 10 topics total as part of each episode in season one. There are 10 episodes total for the season. Number seven, why do I call it Verbal Letters at the Chatterbox Letters podcast? Okay, my answer to this is because instead of writing the letter to save the aggravation, I felt it was better transformed verbally to speak about your letter, giving your letter a voice of the author behind the letter. All right, number eight. Will there be direct discussions about each verbal letter topics? Oh, I said yes, of course. That's what a topic is based upon. That's having discussions, bringing understanding to the basics of the topic. Not having a discussion will decrease the understanding of the topic to be focused on. Questions can be also answered depending on the topic and what is asked. Number 9, would there be a scheduled event on producing the Chatterbox letter into one season? Okay, for the Verbal Letters podcast, I will not schedule the events due to the lack of participation right now. I will present my broadcasts as I go in producing them. Number 10, it's better to express your thoughts and concerns as part as my Verbal Letters podcast. My answer to this is whenever you're thinking or feeling makes all the difference to the topic in my live podcast. Okay, everyone like, share, and subscribe to my podcast. Hit that notification button to know when I go live. Ring that bell to get updates on my podcast. And everyone, please support my podcast. The ticker below speaks all kinds of volumes, and I would like to say there's that ticker. You see that ticker down there at the bottom of my video? It's a lot of resources in that ticker in order to support my podcast. I would like to thank everyone for tuning in to my live podcast. And I would like to say God bless. And as usual, at the end of each video podcast, I would like to say thank you. I love all of you. Thank you for your support and tuning in to my live podcast. Thank you very much.